You are listening to More Than Music with Andrew Kazir. This is the first episode of a new interview series that I'm doing with my man Corey Loveless. The first episode. Corey has the fortunate situation of being the first interviewee for this series, More Than Music. He was the first interview I did in general, like almost probably a year ago. And that sort of started building the foundation of the Cypher podcast I do now. So, Corey, you kind of get to be my test dummy for everything. I appreciate you doing that for me, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm chilling, working on this album right now. We're pretty deep into it. Almost finished.
That's dope, bro. I'm looking forward to that. And that was basically the premise of our first conversation, was music and what you were working on. It's a little different this time. We're kind of doing something different to try and give the Upstate Aesthetic viewers more of an insight into what artists have going on. I also obviously have to do this for a college credit. So giving the people of Midwest South Dakota a taste of what's going on out in Upstate New York and what some of these artists have been through. So it's really dope, a cool situation we got going on here. But like I said, it's more than music here, so we're probably not going to focus too much on the music. We'll get into it because every artist, music plays a big impact on their life. But we want to get into just learning a little bit more about everybody and kind of getting that deeper side. I think it'll help the artists to connect on that way with their fans as well. So, Corey, where do you want to start? You want to tell people at least where you're from, how old you are?
Where I'm from is a weird question, but we'll start off with my age. I'm currently 22, but as far as like quote unquote where I'm from, my pops was like military, so I moved around like every 3 years of my life. So I was born in Illinois, moved to Massachusetts, then Ohio, then Idaho, or no, actually from Ohio we moved to Italy, and then it was Idaho.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I lived in Italy for 3 years. Then I moved to Idaho. My parents got divorced, and then I moved like further upstate than I am now, like up in the Saranac area, like Plattsburgh area, and I lived there for like 3 or 4 years. I got into like bad shit, decided I need to like fix my life, get my shit together. I finished off high school with my dad out here in Cortland, and currently where I'm still at, went to college. Now I'm out of college, have a job, working on music, all that fun stuff.
Dang, that's crazy. The army life, the moving around life is some shit that I can relate to. When I grew up, bro, I didn't honestly spend a whole year at a school until I moved to New York. That was when both of my parents had actually gotten out of the army by that point. Up until then, until like 6th grade, never spent a full year in one school. Just moved everywhere. So I could relate to that shit entirely.
Yeah, I remember I moved like 3 schools in 1 year because like I barely stayed in Idaho for that long. We stayed in Idaho for like a few months. So I literally went to like from Italy, moved to Idaho. My parents got divorced and I started school in Saranac. It was like 3 schools 1 year. That shit was wild. But
it is wild, because it's like, how do you develop friendships and shit until like it's fucked up? Even with the internet and stuff, like that's how I connected with a lot of my friends. I stayed connected with a lot of people from South Dakota when I lived in New York, but it still was so inconsistent that by the time I moved back out here, I don't really know a whole lot of people that I used to because I've moved so much. So
yeah, actually Ryan is probably the friend that I've had for the longest period of time in my entire life, which is a really weird thing to think about because I only met him in college. So
yeah, it's a weird situation. It kind of we as people, I think, kind of just look at friendships a little differently. You know what I mean, man? Like at least for me, I because I'm the same as you in a sense. Like my best friends are probably like Ant and Sheridan, and I just met them a lot. Like in terms of having consistent conversations this year. Now that we do the podcast, they're the only people that I have a guaranteed 1.5, 2 hour conversation with every week. So it's strange how your friendships change over time based upon moving and shit, and then just your value on friendships I think changes too.
100%. I think and this is something that I've had to address in myself like a lot. I talk about this in music quite a bit, especially on this project, just how quick I am and like how expendable I think people are because of how few people have been around me for like extended periods of time. Like how I could literally, it was scary. Like I've just dropped people like without.
It's some shit that you almost feel weird talking about or verbalizing because you don't want people to think that you're just down to cut anybody off like you're a dickhead. But like in reality, like
I've never been around people for like an extremely long period of time. So like it's normal for me to like cycle through friends. But like I look at Ryan, I look at like people in 136 as like my first friend group that I feel are like brothers to me. So I don't think we'll be separating anytime soon.
Right. And then once you get into a group like that, it's like a whole different setting. You kind of got to readapt.
Yeah.
And like learn to trust people and learn to build those friendships and shit, because it's different, especially because you didn't have the time to build it as a kid. Like I said, I can relate to that, where I didn't build those tight friendships where I had like brotherly friendships until middle school, high school, and at that point shit gets kind of shaky and fake anyway. It's all built on fake bullshit. So it took until after high school for me to really start realizing who I wanted to fuck with and shit like that.
Yeah, shit carries over to your relationships, everything, because like I think it just makes you very cold as a person. Very hard to, I can shut people off very easily. Like I can be a pretty cold person. So I don't know. I've been addressing that part myself and trying to, be better, like learn, grow as a
shit. Part of it is just recognizing that shit, you know what I mean? Starting to realize like, man, maybe I am just cold because like going through my whole life I never really developed friendships and shit like that. Like, so it's just easy to let that shit roll off my back or whatever. Like, because I get it. I could definitely get and relate to that shit and relate to having to like find ways to change it, find ways in yourself to change shit you don't like.
Yeah, but I think music has been like a huge wave. Like you always tell me how introspective I am in my music, and I mean I use music as a way to like look at who I am, just kind of reflect on like poor decisions that I'm making, and come up with plans on like how I can fix them, or at least at the very least just identify what's wrong.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, that's what music is. I mean, for me, I don't make music anymore, or at least I don't release music anymore. But like, if there's the shitty times in my day, that's kind of when I do revert back to maybe making music that I'm not gonna release, but at least help me explain what I'm trying to say in ways that I couldn't do it without music. So it's crazy. I think a lot of people in music have that relationship. I think it's even crazier though, meeting someone who has no relationship to music. I have a couple friends like that who don't really listen to music at all. And I'm like, how can you not utilize that outlet?
Yeah, I've never interacted with a person who doesn't listen to music. That would be wild to me.
It's very strange. In a lot of ways, I'm like, bro, this could help you with a lot of shit if you just got into some music. But at the same time, trying to convince someone who's like 25 to start listening to music after they haven't, it's like, I don't know.
That's crazy to me. Just like never listen to music.
They listen like the radio and shit once in a while, but not the way we do. You know what I mean? Like put it on to relax, or put it on to fade away about some shit. Like that's what blows my mind. I got another friend too who was one day like, yo, red pill me on rap. And I was like, bro, what? Like he's like, just like put me on to rap. I want to get into rap. I really like music. I like what you're doing with the cypher, but it put me on rap. I'm like, bro, I don't know where the fuck to start. Where do you want me to start putting you on to rap, like, bro?
I would have to ask them what their other genres of music that they enjoy, because there are other like subgenres of rap that like mix other shit in with it that might be like a good entry point, and then we can start like bringing you into the more hardcore shit later.
Right. Like I didn't want to just send them some old school rap and be like, here, this is how it all started, and then immediately
that might be abrasive for you at first because it's so different from like what's going on right now. But I mean, like I started with old school shit,
right? But
I was young back then, so I mean, and I wasn't really listening to different genres of music at the time. But it might be able to get them into a subgenre. Like I've got friends who like listen to screamo and were like, oh, I need to be put on to rap, and I was like, all right, well, there's like fucking Scarlord, check him
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
You'll
Yeah.
fuck with that at least to start, and then we can start getting you into some softer shit after
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. And just the idea of someone not even utilizing music as an outlet at all. Like I said, it's something that just kind of blows my mind. It's really crazy to me, because of how much, maybe because of how much music does help me. Like that's probably the only reason why, because it's my main source or my main outlet. But it is something that definitely blows my mind.
Yeah, that's wild.
Right. You mentioned you lived in Italy. How old were you when you lived there?
Um, 3 years at a time. So I think I was in third to sixth grade. I had just started middle school when I left.
What was that like, bro? Because like a lot of people, that's not even an experience they can imagine.
I tell a lot of people like I didn't get to like throw like a lot of birthday parties and shit as a kid, but like I did spend my 11th birthday in Rome, so like that was wild.
Right.
So I don't know. I just have a very different experience growing up, but Italy, it's a lot different than the States to me. They're like very much oriented on the community. They like all help each other. It's big family based out there. Like it's kind of a just like everywhere's just like a really loving community. It was just kind of a beautiful thing to experience, especially when I was so young. Everybody's willing to help each other.
Right.
It's definitely not like the fuck you vibe of the state.
The
But
facts, especially New York, bro. Like it's different.
New York is different. Different as fuck, bro.
That's crazy though. Like just like, cause I don't know, just the idea, and that's some shit that almost happened to me. My mom being in the army, she was like looking into going into Germany, probably around the same age as you were in third grade or some shit. And I was like,
Yeah.
yo, what the fuck? Like I never,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
idea of going to a different country and shit like was mind blowing.
Yeah, I visited Germany while I was out there. My father was in the Air Force, so we have Aviano Air Force Base, and then like there's Ramstein, which is the RB base of
Mhm.
Germany. But we visited out there. But I think it gave me. I think travel is just really important. It gives you perspective on like different cultures and understanding different people, especially at like a very young age. I'm like open to. I'm not very judgmental as a person. I think it just kind of broke down those like judgmental walls because I've just seen so much shit, met so many people, understood so many different cultures that like I'm just very open.
Yeah.
I think more people need to leave, travel, understand the world outside of their like fucking block. There's so many people out here that I know that just literally haven't left their town.
Right. And that, like, moving to South Dakota ain't the same as moving to Italy, but it's definitely a whole culture shock.
Yo, this anywhere in the States, like you move to a different state, because I've moved to a lot of
Right.
different states. There's whole different vibes, cultures, people that you'll meet just moving state to state.
Yep.
It's necessary for sure.
It's one of the best ways, I think, to get like a full worldview perspective on shit. I feel like it's really like to me, I wouldn't ever place myself in one political side or another, like Democrat or Republican or anything specific like that, because I've lived through so many different situations and seen so many different sides of the story that I get the perspective of kind of both sides, but I also have my own personal mental like opinion on shit. So it's an interesting thing when you have moved and lived in the Midwest and see the whole perspective on people who want to keep their guns, who want to do this, who want to do that, and then live in New York and fucking and see that shit and see the people fighting for Black Lives Matter and shit like that. And I can 100% relate to that too. But people who only lived out here, they're like, I don't get it.
Yeah, 100%, because you just haven't talked to people. I feel like that's another thing. I mean, I'm pretty left-leaning politically, pretty far, like, liberal. But, I mean, I do see, like, exactly what you're saying. Like, I've had mad people who are conservative. I can see that side of the argument and at least be able to, like, place myself in their shoes and get it. But that also, like, helps me arguments and being able to conversate with people and debate.
Yeah.
Because I can get in their mentality because I've known people that are like them. So, but yeah, I just think it's important to just talk to people. You know, you can learn so much from anyone.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's like it's just gaining an understanding, because I would say, like you, I'm probably a little bit more left leaning in how I approach shit, but in terms of like understanding the alternative perspective and allowing myself to at least hear it through and be like, I get why you feel that way, but also you're wrong for these reasons. Like,
and I feel like mad people just haven't been educated well enough at all.
And social media kind of leads to people then taking that lack of education and just running with it however they want.
Yeah, you can find a group of people who think what you think, and then you never have to hear anything else.
Yep. Well, and that's the crazy thing is, like, and you don't even expect it necessarily among the older generation, so it's weird. But, like, I was chilling with my grandpa, like, a week ago, and he didn't get off his phone for like 5 minutes. I was like, this is why you are the way you are. You're just scrolling Facebook, reading all kinds of Republican shit all day, like just feeding what you believe in, feeding your mind, and that's why you feel the way you feel. Because my family is totally like the opposite side of the perspective I have. So it's funny to see that from my grandpa, because I don't look at my grandpa as someone who's like a technology nut or someone who's stuck in their phone, but to watch him for like an hour-long dinner just scroll Facebook, and I'm like, this is exactly why you are the way you are. Like, you just read this shit all day.
Just consume bullshit for hours.
Mm-hmm. And
some shit's not true.
A lot of it's not. That's why I had to like get rid of some family on social media, because I'm like, yo, I can't be correcting everything you're posting, but you're posting dumb shit.
Facts. Like, it blows my mind, because there's like some people who I know who have like been to college, and I've like taken college history courses, and I'm like, you can learn a lot. Like, a lot of the shit that you're saying is wrong just by listening to your college history course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all just crazy, and the shit that people like, you could learn half of the shit is wrong if you just Googled it. You know what I mean? Like, all you got to do is Google half of the shit you're sharing on Facebook, and you'll tell yourself you're wrong. A lot of people just want to validate whatever it is they're thinking, though. So
biases or that they have themselves, so they'll find whatever article they can to say that this fact is wrong or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It's mad annoying.
Right. You still keep up with anybody from Italy or anything like that, or is that one of the situations where you just made friends and that was that?
You know, every time I move places, they always say we're gonna keep in touch. That never happens. There's one person that I found again. His name is, he was my best friend when I was out in Italy. His name is Romeo. He lives in Florida now. We talk every once in a while, which is nice. But yeah, he's probably the only person that I keep in touch with.
It's hard to keep up, man. Even, like I said, even with social media, there are people that and at the end of the day, I think it comes down to an extent. You'll talk to who you want to talk to, but at the same time, like, you got to make time for it at the end of the day. And if you're not making time for it, it's hard to stay in contact with everybody.
Facts.
I got family members that I'm extremely close with, or was extremely close with growing up, that I just don't have the time to hit up, and now I feel like I don't even know them.
Yeah, that's how I feel with like some of my friends from high school. But I'm trying to reconnect with a few of them. It's just hard. My schedule is wild. You know, like, it's just work Sunday through Wednesday, and then I'm in the studio Thursday, Friday, and I try to spend time with my girlfriend on Saturday.
Right. So it's tough to fucking make that time to link up with people and balance everything, man. I definitely understand that shit for sure. So
yeah,
that's where like upstate aesthetic has kept me more. Give me 1 second.
I got you.
But Upstate Aesthetic has given me more of an opportunity to stay connected with people than pretty much anything else outside of once I got out of high school. I keep in contact with maybe one or two friends that I worked with when I lived in New York, but everyone I really keep up with is someone that's an artist that I'm keeping that I'm touching base with, and like I said, that's where I've made a lot of my closer friendships since high school, and I'm more happy about it in that way, really.
Yeah, that's really dope, actually. I mean, also, artists are cool people to be friends with.
There's a lot of like-minded individuals once you get into that creator segment of people. You know what I mean? Like we all have different types of ways we want to be creative, but when we're all creatives, like you have that respect for the most part. There are definitely people who get a little too cocky and take themselves too seriously, but
Oh, 100%. I know some people like that. But most of pretty much all of my friends are, even my girlfriend is like an artist in some capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I just think creators, they're open. You can learn a lot from them. They just think more. They think different as well.
And they're willing to share it. You know what I mean? That's the idea of being a creator. So once you get down to talking with someone who you just have the same type of shit that you're into, or you're both like you start sharing ideas and stuff like that, and it just makes for a much better, I think, friendship and relationship overall in the grand scheme of things.
For sure.
And it's led to me seeing a lot of friendships build from Upstate Aesthetic too. Like that was something I didn't expect to see, was artists that I knew never met each other, able to collaborate with each other from across the country at some points. Like,
yeah, I mean, you guys have put me on to a lot of local artists that I really fuck with. Like, I mean, like Scaff is crazy. Like, I never even heard of Ty Burst before. Like, Upstate Aesthetic. So like a bunch of artists y'all have put me on to, especially in the competition series. I never heard of, I think John Fall, right?
Yeah. John
crazy. Fall. Absolutely insane. Like I'll just go through and be like, bro, there's just like dumb fire artists in our backyard. Like it's crazy.
Exactly. And it's so cool to see. It's cool to see like the variety of artists, and I feel like in a lot of ways I haven't even touched the surface, because a couple months later I find out another artist that's just killing it up in Buffalo or killing it over here, and I'm like, dang, I'm missing. I like there's just so many different places to keep track of. It's crazy.
I know, and I mean like Upstate's kind of going dumb right now.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Corey just got signed. I mean, Griselda's been killing it. There's fucking Stove God who just got signed up. Pasta, like, a bunch of Upstate artists are like actually being put on the map. I feel like this is low key becoming
an area, yeah, like a real spot, a hot spot,
a place to be taken serious, which is insane.
Right. And it's cool to see. It's definitely cool to see just the growth of the area, and it's obviously provided more opportunities for artists in general and shit like that. So it's definitely something you love to see, especially out of the upstate area. Because like you said, it's not like we thought it was impossible, but it might not have been something we expected, especially just to happen the way it has.
So naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, Griselda, I think, really opened the floodgates.
Yeah, they definitely did. It got a lot of eyes on the scene of people starting to pay attention to what's going on up here, and that there's really something to pay attention to. You know what I mean? So.
Facts. Conway just dropped album of the year for them.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten a chance to tune in. That's the thing.
Bro.
I will once we're done here, bro. I'll take the time.
Before you go to bed tonight, just take an hour, listen to that.
You got it, bro. I'll tune in for sure. Shit, keeping it pushing though. What do we want to talk about? We talked about Italy. We talked about your come up in moving all over across the country and shit.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about a project. You said you've got one that you're working on.
Yeah. Currently, I'm working on the project. I haven't really announced the name or spoken about it that much. I mean, you guys have heard some snippets. Just got the album artwork back. The title of the project is called For Anyone. It was originally going to be called For Anyone Who Listen, but we just cut it short and called it For Anyone. But I'm currently making 20 songs, cutting it down into 10.
Oh shit. You gotta expand on that process a little bit for me, bro. 20 to 10. Is that difficult? Is that easy? Were there some you knew you wanted to pull right away?
For me, I'm on 16 right now, so I finished 16 songs out of the 20. Like we're almost there.
Right.
I'm probably gonna finish 2 more tomorrow. So for me, like how I felt like last year, because I mean, you watched me release like the Things That Trouble Me, Carpe Diem. I dropped, the collaborative Upstate Immortals thing inspired by like Blaine Bent, and then I dropped Bright, and then Sunsets, like all within like almost a year time frame. So
Putting in work.
I was just working so hard on music, but I never felt that like I ever had like scraps or did quality checks to make sure that like the songs were like good. Like even Sunsets, which was like probably my biggest like most quality release of like last year, I didn't really have throwaways on it. I threw away nothing. I just made 13 songs and called it a project.
Right.
For this one, I wanted to take it way more serious, take my time with every song. Like I'm doing like 3-4 versions of a verse. It's taking me much more time to make just one song than it would, and then I'm making 20 of those.
Right.
So I'm really taking the time to perfect my craft. I just want to make sure, because like I felt like Sunsets was so good for me. It was my best project that I had released at that point in my career. And for me, it's like, okay, I was taking it serious last year by going hard, but like now I need to take it serious by like really focusing on the craftsmanship, making sure that my flows are tight, making sure that like the bars are there, making sure that the storytelling is there. The song topics are focused on saying something, and also like just bringing it back to a sound that I enjoy. Like most of this project is gonna be like boom bap beats. Like it's just like old school me rapping over like samples and like boom bap shit, and I'm just talking about my life, my opinions, how I feel. It's just raw.
That's what's up, bro. I'm looking forward to that. And is it all produced by Ryan again?
Yep, all produced by Process.
That's what's up, bro. Do you find that's how you're gonna consistently do stuff? Do you think that at any point you're gonna switch it up a little bit, maybe work out of the box a little bit?
I mean, what was the song that I released? My last single, All For You, was produced by Fears. I mean, I've definitely stepped out. I've had some stuff that was produced by like St. Kid. I've had other stuff, but I mean, like Ryan and I just like we work together really well.
Right. Yeah, bro. I don't blame you at all for keeping a relationship together that works for sure.
I mean, also we're like roommates right now. Like I'm in the studio, like 136 Studios. We moved it into Cortland. Like we're so like Ryan's in the other room.
Right.
What? HBO.
So it's just easy. It's the easiest way to work too.
Yeah, we can just go in the studio and I can cook up like whatever I want with him.
That's fire. How did it take you guys a while to come to that? Like, because when you first started making music, there's no way it was easy. Like, I mean, It might have been easy, but it can't be as easy as it is now.
No, there were screaming matches in the studio. I'm shitting out. When I was working on the Things That Trouble Me, we were literally like fucking yelling at each other because like Ryan had certain ways that he wanted like me to flow and deliver shit. Like I refused to let anybody touch like my art or like change something that I wrote. I was so fucking hard headed. yeah, we ran into a lot of problems, and I think over time, especially like the past year, like Ryan really working with me and producing like 2 full-length projects for me. Um, and he produced some on the Things That Trouble Me. Things That Trouble Me was mostly YouTube beats, if I'm being honest with you. And then there was like 2 songs produced by Ryan, because that's when we just met. And then Carpe Diem, a bit more. Some of it, we have another producer actually in 136. He goes by Epidemics. He's produced a bunch of stuff for PS. He's produced like off of Carpe Diem. He produced like the first song on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ryan produced a bunch of the others. Yeah, over time, just working with Ryan, we've gotten like a really good, just work together right now.
Like like a good working relationship, right? You think that helped you in the grand scheme as an artist, just having that person who was willing to have those screaming matches with you and let you know, like, hey, I don't agree with this, or I don't agree with that, or you're not doing this right.
Yeah, if as an artist, if you don't have somebody who's mean to you, like, you gotta have that one mean friend. Just tell me I'm ass, bro.
But like with actual like critique, you know what I mean?
Yeah, give me a way to fix it. Like Ryan will be like, "Yo, that's ass," but this is what you can do. And also, Ryan, like, he hasn't released a lot of music, but he's the most talented artist I know.
I agree.
And I know of out here. I know that's crazy to say because there's mad artists out here, but like, he has vocal control that is ridiculous. He can change his voice in anything. He can impersonate your favorite rapper and do it perfect. He can rap bar-wise with the best of them. He can sing, produce, everything. So when it comes to him coaching me with everything, I probably wouldn't be improving as quickly as I am without the coaching of Ryan.
Right.
You guys talk about how quickly I improve. It's because, like, this man helps me quite a bit.
Right. You think it's helped him a little bit too, though, in the grand scheme of things, having someone to consistently work with and coach up?
100%. I also work with Ryan lyrically. Like, I've always been like a bar artist. I've talked to Ryan about and coaching him with like a bunch of different like lyrical shit. Like, we work together. He helps me with delivery and flow. I've helped him a lot with like bars and writing, but I mean, not to say he's not naturally talented with that shit, because he's ridiculous.
Yeah, you better be careful. You can't take credit for writing for Ryan.
Not at all. Not at all. There's just been like a few things where I've just given him pointers and direction on like how to write certain things or express himself or articulate certain things. That's all I'm saying.
No, yeah, I feel you. I'm just fucking around. But it's always good to clarify too. And like I said, yeah, it's dope that you guys have that friendship and that relationship. And you say it's good to have a friend that's mean to you. I agree 100%, but I had to clarify because I had some homies, well, a homie who was just a dickhead to be a dickhead, and I was like, yo, that ain't helping nobody.
Yeah, you can't just be a dickhead. But I mean, be a dickhead with purpose.
Right.
Like.
Yeah, he just thought he was being funny, but I was like, bro, I don't got the energy for you.
Making jokes and like being in the studio, honestly telling me that like, yo, what you're doing right now is not going to work.
This ain't
like,
it, Chief.
Yeah, and be like, yo, let's rework this. Like, let's figure out how to do it. Like, I had a huge problem with being on beat. Like, Ryan would like sit with me and be like 1, 2, 3, 4. He's like, you need to hit that, like, boom, 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 and like sit
That's
with me.
That's important as hell too, bro. Cause I rapping with my friends, like I had a homie who wasn't always hitting the beat right, and I didn't know how the fuck to say it, so we just had a lot of shitty songs that came out. I didn't know how to put him on to be like, yo, bro, this shit just ain't hitting right. So that shit's important. Like, it's crazy to you probably don't think about it at the time, but
yeah. And not only that, like, why I've improved so quickly is, like, just the volume of music and how much I write. Like, I mean, practice makes perfect. Like, whether Ryan's working with me or not, like, currently with this project, Ryan really hasn't had to critique anything that I've really done. so far.
That's what it's all about, though. You know what I mean? Coached you up to get to this point, so.
Yeah, but also like I've just been working for like so long that like some of it was like Ryan being like giving me a few pointers, being like, "Yo, you need to fix A, B, or C." Some of it was just me, just like repetition, listening to music, learning myself. But yeah, I mean, it's important. Also, working with all of 136 was just
Well,
like,
yeah, it's a versatile group. You got a lot of different characters in that group, a lot of different energy in that group, a lot of different music comes out of there. So when you work with each other, you're gonna get different shit.
for sure. Like working with, just being on songs with like different people and having to match different energies and vibes and take you out of like your comfort zone has been like a big growing experience. Working on the 136 project was
Were there screaming matches for that one too, or no?
no, not at all. We were all just kind of laughing and having fun with that one, but there was like beats and shit that like took people in the group, even me, out of like our comfort zone completely, because like one beat would match one member of the group and we would all have to like
Change
form
it.
for that. Yeah, and figure out a way to, you know, still match their skill level.
Right.
Yeah.
That's dope. I'm looking forward to that one a lot too. Do you have a plan on when you want to drop one and the other, or you're just waiting on everything?
Process, I'm not gonna say too much, but he's got some stuff in store. And then the 136 project is finished. We got to work on, you know, promotional material and cover art. But I think the way it's gonna go
Nice.
is, matter of fact, I'm not even gonna say too much. We might get tight.
Yeah. No, that's cool. We're good enough there. But so, what about your project though? Is that coming this year, or beginning of next year?
December.
December? That's what's up. December is looking like it's gonna be a fun time because there's a lot of people I know planning to drop this year and they're running out of time. So, December might be fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to drop it around the same time I dropped Sunsets last year.
Cool.
So it'll be like about a whole year since my last full-length release.
And so with you doing the Dim 136 project, do you have a lot of Dim 136 features on your project?
I actually currently only have Ryan on the project, on 2 songs.
Okay, 2 songs. I kind of like that, honestly, to be honest with you. Just with that project coming out, you doing a collaborative project with everyone, even if you have a couple more features on the project.
Oh, I don't right now. I made 16 songs and I haven't put a feature on. I keep telling myself that I'm gonna, like, because there's like a bunch of artists in the area like Alonzo who I really want to work with. I want to work with Damiano pretty bad, but like I keep telling myself I'm gonna like leave it open for them and send something out, but I haven't. I just keep finishing songs.
I can't blame you for that, but at the same time, there's so much talent out there that it's hard to encourage that. You know what I mean?
I know, bro. I know.
But at the same time, I can't blame you for wanting to take the reins on this one and really let some shit off. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for everything Dim's got planned. So it's dope.
Yeah, the only reason why Ryan got on the project was because he was like there next to me while like making it. If Ryan was like completely separate, I'm sure I would have 0 features on this because I've just been like nose down working on this.
Just locked in. And like, so is the content mostly like just you've mentioned it a little bit, is like telling the stories about what you've been through in life? Is that primarily it, or?
I think this project is just getting to know me a lot deeper.
Right.
My previous works. So I really talk about like I have IEP. I talk about like my struggles in school and school system. I have this song called Spaceship, which is obviously a reference to Kanye West's Spaceship. At the beginning of it, like you can listen to Kanye's album, so like the song before Spaceship is like a gospel, like Fly Away.
Right.
So Ryan acapella sings the song before Spaceship at the beginning of the song as the introduction. And I really just talked about um, my dreams and what I want to achieve and how my family uh, has kind of been, comfortable with the normal way of life. So it's hard for them to understand, me reaching for these things. And then there's like a beat switch. And I leave off like that section of the song, like with understanding my confidence issues. And then I just really go into how like, I have a lot of problems with confidence that have just been holding me back from being able to fully go out at the dream and fully, realize everything that I want. And that's kind of like a common theme throughout the project is just, struggles with confidence, self-worth, struggles with depression, and also you guys get to peep like more of my like opinions. I talk about the social media shit. I talk about religion. I talk about politics. I talk about everything. It's just really me unfiltered on this project.
Right. That's dope. I'm looking forward to that. But like, does it, because you continue to get more of like a introspective side with your music, or like a deep lyrical side of your music, do you ever have any concern that you don't lean into like the pop side of things? Or like, or maybe not even pop. I don't know if I want to say pop, but like more popular modern rap type stuff, I guess.
I think I was more concerned about that on Bright, and then I personally think Bright is my worst project, and it's my worst project because I was trying to do that.
I love to hear that, honestly. Like, it's a question I feel like I have to ask, but I like to hear that you get your best content doing what you want to do. Like, because that's what people should do and how people should feel. But it is interesting to hear how that has plagued you in the past.
Yeah, Bright, I feel like being my first release, like especially on major streaming services, I definitely shot myself in the foot because I made a really low quality project. Just trying to do shit that I thought people wanted to listen to. And then I did some of that as well on Sunsets, and those ended up probably being my worst songs on the project. Being forceful and trying to force myself to write something that has a certain sound or a certain topic, for me, just ends up making hot garbage. So like with this project, I just wanted it to be like, yo, what am I listening to right now? I'm like, what have I listened to my entire life? Just like old school New York hip hop. I'm like, That's how I want this to sound. We're taking boom bap beats, samples, all that shit. We're taking sound snippets, moving them through it.
And do you like, you work with Ryan on that part of like crafting a beat or what you want in terms of the sound of what you got going on?
I've sat with him while he makes every beat for the project. So I've heard every beat from like inception.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and we choose samples together. Like he'll go through and pick samples. I'll pick the samples out. So like Ryan and I really like crafted like the production sound. I'm not gonna take too like.
Yeah. You were just helping. He did a lot of the heavy lifting, but you threw some opinions in there for sure.
He was pretty much 99% of the work. I was like, yo, this might sound good here, but I was there and gave my opinion for everything and picked out the production beats.
That's cool, bro. Like just being hands-on with that part of the process, pun intended, I guess, and like making music like this. It's not how everyone does it, you know what I mean? So it's very interesting for me to get that perspective of it.
Yeah, and I mean that's how Sunsets kind of was too, because like I told Ryan on this one that I wanted to have a boom bap project. The last one I was like, yo, I want to do like a conceptual, like really chill kind of vibe for the last one for Sunsets. And Ryan, I wasn't there for him to make most of the beats, but he knew exactly what I meant and sent me shit that was perfect for it.
Right. That's crazy, dude. It's very cool to just get that perspective of, like I said, you working hands-on with him. And is that like, so with Dim 136, do you sort of do the same thing with the group and with putting together the project? Like, who took the reins in being the guy who was coaching everyone for that project? Or was it like sort of everyone?
I think it's Ryan. I would really consider Ryan like the creative director of 136. Like if I can accredit myself anything, like I help get shows and I do business. Like I'm just like really aggressive when it comes to like getting business done. So like I've helped with that side of things quite a bit. But Ryan's definitely like the creative.
That's dope. That's cool, man. Well, you got anything else on the project that you want to talk about in terms of subject matter that we need to cover? We covered the features. We covered you and Ryan putting it together. Has it been tough locking in during COVID? Did it make it easier did you have extra time to just really lock in and make music, or was everything all fucked up for you?
The only thing that's been fucked up is like, it's just, you can feel really stagnant, you know?
Yeah.
With everything that's going on right now. Like I used to be doing like shows like pretty frequently, being able to like see the people, see the fans, like understand like where I was at, and talk to people. But you can feel like you're not doing anything, you know?
Right, like not really even moving up or down because there's nowhere to move.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm making this project, and it's like I think I went to like a huge writer's block, and like a huge like depressive slump during like the creation of this, just because like I can feel like there's no mobility in the career. In my career right now, it's just like shit's just came to a halt.
Yeah, and shit came to a halt for everyone, you know, and.
Yeah, that was like a huge thing that I had to like overcome during the creation of this, for sure. But other than that, COVID didn't really slow down my like work, because like we do everything ourselves. So like I don't have to book studio sessions or anything. So like COVID guidelines didn't stop me from recording.
Right.
So,
did it give you any extra time, like in terms of your regular job? Did you have any extra time to record, or not really? Everything was just the same?
I work with kids in placement, so nah, I still had to be there, like
right.
All of this. But nah, it didn't give me extra time. If anything, I had to work more. It gave me less time.
Right. Well, yeah. Shit, at least you were able to put together, or almost done putting together a dope project throughout the pandemic, and I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like you've got a lot shaping up for it, but you still have a lot to do with it, because if you're planning to chop that down from 20 to 10, I'm still curious how you're going to do that, bro. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the way I'm going to do it, and it's probably the same way, I'm going to copy how Ryan did it. When he dropped his last project, I'm just gonna we all have like Google Drive folders saved on like the computer here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna just share my Google Drive with like all of 136, and then have them give me opinions. They'll listen to all 20 songs,
right?
And, you know, give me a top 10, and I'll have my top 10, and Ryan will have his. And and I think from that I'll just take in everybody's opinion. And
right. Are you guys all good at that in terms of like giving and receiving critique throughout the whole group, and like letting each other know what's really up and what you really fuck with and don't?
Yes, yeah, 100%. I think we're all pretty transparent with each other about like what we don't. It's a pretty cool thing. I think like artists in the group like King have grown like exponentially since they've joined, just because of that.
That's dope, bro. So you said December, we have for anyone to look forward to, correct?
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. Can't give any details on anything else, otherwise we'll be slipping up a little too much. But
yeah, but the 136 project is finished and it's coming soon. Within probably the next couple months.
Looking forward to that. I think I've kept you long enough, bro. I appreciate the conversation today. Is there any tracks you've got coming shortly, and anything you dropped recently that people need to check for?
Not at all. Just, be on the lookout. We're staying extremely quiet until For Anyone comes out.
That's the end of the year is gonna be very jam packed with Dim 136, man. Because between you and JJ alone being so quiet this year compared to last year,
Look, JJ was just in the studio with me yesterday. He's got some wild shit.
I'm looking forward to it. That's what I'm saying. Y'all are gonna have a lock on the end of the year because there's like everyone but King, right, has some shit to drop. So
Yeah. I think PS's project is pretty much finished, almost done. Don't know when he's releasing that, but that shit is his best body of work he's made so far.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to you guys making some noise to close out the year. Probably even making some noise to start out next year. Cause like I said, the way y'all produced music last year compared to this year, I understand taking a break 100%, but it's like, man, y'all got to be coming with some shit now, cause it's been a little bit. So, looking forward to that.
Of course, man.
And appreciate having you on. Like I said, we're going to wrap things up and close things out. Thank everybody for listening. Where can they find you on social media, though? Because there'll be plenty of people from South Dakota listening. They won't know where the hell to find you.
Of course. You can find me on all social medias at That Loveless Kid.
At That Loveless Kid. And as always, you can find Upstate Aesthetic on Facebook at Upstate Aesthetic. We are on Instagram at upstate.aesthetic and on Facebook or Twitter at the NY Aesthetic. Thank you guys for listening to the first episode of More Than Music. This was Andrew Kazir with Corey Loveless. Until next time, see ya.